in Invercargill, and of course it is Diamonds Day tomorrow, but I'm out here at Price Bloodstock, not that far from Winton actually, I don't think. Katrina Price, firstly, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, good to have you over here. Yeah.
5 minutes to Winton?
Correct. Yep, centre of Winton.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, it's only a small town, but a beautiful track. I was there yesterday for some workouts and that, and it's a beautiful part of the world. It's a very, I don't know if it's a kept secret or not, but Southland, just amazing. I'm rapt that I've been able to come down here and look at training establishments and farms and why Southland bat so far above their average, if you like.
Yeah, well, we do like to keep it a secret, otherwise there'd be Aussies living here and the place would be ruined.
oh, that's it. Interview's over. You're right. No,
it is. Yeah, we're very lucky, and it is nice to get people to come down and actually have a look and just sort of see, I guess, where these horses are raised, and it is probably unique.
We're talking there just prior to starting this, and I suppose the one thing that blew me away is just the ground to raise horses. You've got 3 lovely weanlings in here, and we'll probably talk about those if they do come back, and if not, we'll still talk about them anyway. But the ground is so green, it's so deep. We're going into winter. Most farms in Australia are struggling for feed at this time of the year. It has to be one of the great advantages. I know they need more than green grass, but just to have such a strong green grass just has to be so good for them.
Yes, and it's sort of here pretty much year round. I mean, winter, obviously, the growth slows down and stuff like that, but yes, it can supplement through there. But then in summer, we get those long daylight hours, which is what plants need. So that's, really gives the horses a boost. Yep.
You're coming into some short days, you were saying there before, but it doesn't last that long?
No, there's sort of those 3 months, right in the dead of winter is probably the hardest to get through, but I guess we just hibernate really.
Yourself and John run this business. Is Angus going to take it over, your young son? Is he likely to hang around and keep the business going a bit?
Oh, I don't know. Look, the kids, they've got to choose their own paths, don't they? So, I think he's keen on the horses with show jumping and that sort of stuff, but I think he's perhaps got ambitions to head away to university, and we'll see. Actually, our eldest daughter Amelia, she really likes the horses, so I could see that the kids will keep, maybe a couple of brood mares or something like that when we're old and decrepit and finished.
That's a long way off, so don't worry about it. Just quickly on Angus, you must be proud of him show jumping and taking that on. He's only a young man, but he's going pretty good at it. Yeah,
and look, he chose it himself. So we've got 2 older girls who didn't ride, so we kind of assumed that we'd escaped that really, and sort of didn't really ever want to push the kids. And then Angus, when he was actually 10, all of a sudden out of the blue just said, I want to learn to ride. I actually grabbed the galloping pacemaker out of the paddock and I rode him for a few days, and he was safe enough, so Angus got on him, and and then he sold his motorbike and bought his first pony. So
smart man. It's a great industry, it's a great lifestyle, and any young blokes out there thinking about it, there's a lot of ladies that ride horses, so it's actually a very smart move in that sense as well.
The odds are pretty good.
Back here to your farm and that, and we were saying there before that fair change of direction with Price Bloodstock, if you like, and I've been able to, I suppose, promote Southern Bred Southern Reared for the last couple of years, and you guys you've had good sales. It's not through I suppose flukes or good management. You guys, yourself and John, have chose upon I suppose making a bit more of a living out of it, if you like, and chose that you've got to, I suppose, separate the emotions of having family horses and horses that you've had for a long period of time that will one day leave a superstar to trying to, I suppose, increase and improve your breed.
I mean, look, originally, this was all a hobby and supplemented, John's had, a very good business and some good jobs and things like that. So the horses were just, sort of on the side, and whereas now, he's home and, he has to earn a crust through this, so,
Does that, do you enjoy that side of it, like the fact that it had to change a little bit?
I think it's perhaps made us be smarter about it all, and and look, probably for John's quality of life, at one stage he was, travelling to China a lot of times a year and, not getting to see the kids and things like that. So, to be able to, balance the lifestyle and all of that is, I think it's worked out well for, the family.
How hard is it sourcing broodmares? I mean, it's all good. You've got a lovely filly that won't be going through the sales simply because it has those bloodlines in it now. But I suppose initially you're saying, right, we're going to step up our breed and look for, I suppose, commercial, if that's the right word to use, but high-end mares. But how hard is it to actually source them over here in New Zealand?
Well, look, I think it either takes time or it takes money, or just fluke, luck, which you're not going to get all the time. So, like Chicago Blues, left Chicago Bull. Well, we went to the yearling sales, and we went there, trying to buy fillies, and, that was the aim. I mean, we didn't dream that it would, end up being like that. But, yeah, so we did that for a number of years, and, we've bought, maybe, mares that sort of... we're already raced, so we've done a little bit of that. But I guess probably the biggest chunk is retaining, so retaining fillies, racing them yourselves and things like that. And that takes time, and money, obviously, getting them, racing and that. But I think that we sort of probably get the most satisfaction out of that side of it when you actually get to breed them, race them through, and then they become a brood mare, so sort of going full circle. So that's the most rewarding way to do it.
Say about time, and it's one of those things that I've noticed doing this job, when you stop and actually look back, it doesn't actually take that long. Like, I think sometimes when you're in the actual moment, you think, to go and breed a horse and wait a year for the foal to be born, then wait another year for that foal to be old enough to sell. You sort of think, it's going to be long. It doesn't take that long, does it?
No, and like Lotto over here in New Zealand, they sort of advertise it as just imagine, like when you go to buy your ticket, imagine if you win. And I kind of think breeding's a bit like that you get, 2 or 3 years of imagining, like I sort of walk down the track every night and, you dream about all the races that particular horse is going to win, and it's probably not going to happen, but hey, you get 2 or 3 years dreaming, which is pretty good medicine for the soul.
And the beauty of it is no one can prove you wrong, because one, no one knows your dream anyway, but no one can prove you wrong because the horse is either still here in a paddock or in the womb, and yet to hit a track, yet to be broken in.
Oh, look, and I think, to be a breeder, you've got to be resilient, and I think a lot of that just comes through the dreaming side of it, and, having all that pleasure, even if it never comes true.
You and I, we sat down at Christchurch. I get all of my names mixed up. It just does me head in sometimes where I go. But, and we sort of had a bit of a discussion, one about your sale, which was quite a good sale again this year. But I suppose the awareness, it come off the back of the Agent Orange foal that sold in Auckland the day before. And what was it, 220,000? I think that was sold for.
260, I think.
Yeah, so $260,000 for that colt. And Agent Orange itself would have been the sort of horse that probably, I know, definitely raced in Australia, but could have gone to America along the same lines as Chartin and those horses. And one of your and I's discussions was about, we need to keep horses here in New Zealand, and I'll put my Australian hat on, and in Australia. And I think ideally for both industries, it would be great that we could have mares race together, on both sides. I think it would be great for our product. But to be able to keep those horses and I suppose keep that foreign dollar away, and raising the awareness of what these horses can actually earn.
Yeah, and look, I think this is perhaps one shortfall of, our industry or sport, is we sort of like to talk things down a bit, and I don't know whether it's people don't like to jinx it, because, that's often what happens, isn't it? You talk something up and then you get proven wrong. But the reality is like with these mares and fillies, is that actually it can be successful. It's not all doom and gloom, and I sort of had a look through some figures, and so that particular crop of the Orange Agent, so she was basically the top billing of those there, so they're now 11-year-olds, but I just had a look at 14 of them. Now, 10 of those fillies and mares earned over $250,000 on the track. And now they're 11 and they're starting to produce. You've got 9 of their progeny have already sold for more than $150,000 at the yearling sales alone, plus, whatever the private sales or earning. And then for the industry, out of that one particular crop, we've already had the likes of Don't Stop Dreaming, Republican Party, we've got Major Perry, then you've got Love Struck and Treacherous Rain, and you've got Advance Party and all those horses that should then bring benefits, to the actual industry as a whole. So, I think there's a big upside for individual breeders to hold on to these fillies and mares and race them and then breed them themselves, but then also for Australia and New Zealand. I mean, ideally I'd like them to be in New Zealand, I
have no problem with that, and I mean, I'm here in New Zealand representing New Zealand. I have absolutely no problems with it. I just think it's the discussion, we could dress it up either way. It doesn't matter. When you're in Australia, I could have the same conversation with some of these people as well. And I think it is, imperative, I think, for our industry, because the number one thing that happens is we, one, don't have enough fillies races.
Yeah.
You had a little interesting one there for me just said before, that basically those New Zealand mares, I don't think there was one that went above 40 races that stayed.
They were basically all about 30 races, except for the ones that went over to Australia, who were double the amount.
Yeah, which is one of the, I will say that is one of the issues. But even those mares in Australia, they would be racing against the boys. There's probably just a few more advantages for them over there. But so we need to give more races, if you like, to give these mares the opportunity. Yeah. But people need to be able to look at them, I suppose, and just, you know, take it on face value that there is a lot more earning capacities out of these very, very well bred fillies, not just once they go to the weanling or the yearling sales or weanling sales, doesn't matter, and go through that sale. There is, they can race and earn good money, but then you get that return of being able to then take their progeny through. And if you've got a good mare, you don't have to have a champion mare. If you've got a good mare that's got good conformation and well bred, you know, you never know what could happen. Yeah,
and look, I mean, basically the crux of it is these are the golden goose, you know. So, and you know, and you can't have your cake and eat it as well. So if we sell them, we've lost that. You know, not the individual breeder has, but then more importantly, the actual racing jurisdictions have lost them too.
Does it get too easy to move them to America?
Look, and I think that's where people, you know, a big, you know, offer comes, you know, a 6-figure offer, and people say, you know, oh, 100,000 or 200,000, you know, and it's just, I can't turn it down. And I guess that's the quick money, isn't it? But there is an alternative there. And look, bad luck happens and things like that. But gosh, there's an awful lot of good stuff that can happen too.
And that's what we forget. You walk around the track and you dream, and we forget about the good stuff. Like, I mean, you know, unfortunately, as you say, we lose a foal. You can have a foal born with a bent leg or things not quite right. But you can actually also have the good side of it and the dreaming of the good fun.
Yeah, and I just think that's one thing that we talk about too much is the bad stuff that's happened. And people sort of are pretty reluctant to put up their hand and say, well, this is pretty good that's happened. Yeah,
and I think it's great of you to do it, and I do like your stats. The Aussie guys, we've got to work on how many races they win to how much money they win, but we'll work on that. There was one just recently with the other hat that I wear with Nutrien. I mean, the Carlos Pixel, who did actually go to America, and I'm not exactly sure of the whole story whether Nixon's actually sent her over there, but I mean, they got $300,000. Now, if someone had come and offered $300,000 for Carlos Pixel, even $200,000, people would have laughed and said they're kidding. But within 2 years of her being retired, you know, they've had a massive payday. And I know Shannon and Megan, they were blown away. They were in tears. I'm sure they will look back at it. I know I saw them the other day at the race, and they still are on cloud nine. They will look back at it in about 6 months' time and just say, how cool was that of a weekend and basically a year's worth of planning, 12 months, 18 months worth of planning. No, it's a pretty neat feeling, and I, you know, take my hats off to all breeders, you know, who get those results, and you know, it is a long time in the planning, and you know, and to see it all come to fruition is it's nice for people. I ask everyone this question: Do you enjoy breeding, and do you enjoy harness racing?
Yes, I do. Look, I mean, sometimes you've got to, you know, you're in the middle of winter and you're slopping around and things like that, or, you know, you work 7 days a week, and so one day can lead into the other, but then you just got to check yourself. And, you know, for me, hey, I'm living my dream. So, yeah, I've got to be happy with that.
I've got to get John to make you another track, because I reckon it get pretty boring walking around the same track day after day. But that's okay. I mean, we enjoy those simple things. Just, well, not quickly, but we're out here in the paddock. We've got 3 weanlings out here at the minute, some very, very well-bred ones. One of those is not going to the sales, though.
No, there's a filly there that's, she's a keeper. So, Better's Delight out of Heart of Dixie. Yeah.
And the other 2?
So we've got a Better's Delight colt out of Democrat Party. So he
Republican Party,
he's a full brother to Republican Party, Advance Party, and so on. And then the other fellow with the white blaze, he is a Better's Delight out of Rockabilly Blues, who's a half-sister Chicago Bull.
Yeah, so they're nice to see. Are they the only 2 that you'll have going through the sales?
No, there's still another 5 weanlings to arrive back from the studs yet. We've just got to sort out which other ones will be going. So, yeah.
You'll be excited though, like, and as you say, you start walking, so now you start dreaming of taking them to the sales and everything going right, and you're having a good sale.
Yeah, well, you do, and you sort of. And
it's not all about money. I've got to be careful how I said that, because it's not all about actually the money. It's about people enjoying
Yeah.
the horses that you guys are getting ready to send through the sales.
Exactly. I just like raising like really nice looking, horses that you hope are going to go on and, do a really good job for people. So, and I think that's one thing that we've learnt through selling them is just because you sell them doesn't mean that you kind of like lose the connection with them.
Yeah.
So, I love following the horses that we've sold, and you get a real buzz out of that.
Yeah, instead of driving all the way to Christchurch, you can jump on a plane, stay at a nice motel, go to the races, have a feed, go out, watch your horse, go give it a pat, and then you can come home. It's a lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah, or you could pay your service fees,
That takes all the fun out of it. I'm sure the studs are happy with that, but no, you just got to go and enjoy yourself and enjoy the sport. Katrina, thank you. You got a beautiful property here, I must say, even though it has clouded over a little bit just as we started this interview, but you have a beautiful property here, and I can see why you do raise lovely stock, and I think you and everyone from Southern Bred Southern Reared, I haven't got around to everyone, but I've been able to get around to quite a few, and I really do appreciate it, and continue doing what you guys are doing. I encourage people to get onto the tour. We want to get more Australians, I suppose, onto the tour and be aware of it, so they hopefully for a few of these they'll be aware of that, and get out here and have a look at these horses before the sales, which come around very, very quickly back in February.
Yeah, and look, hey, if you can't make the tour date, you only have to ring. And I mean, gosh, somebody will jump in a car and pick somebody up from the airport and, take you around the farms and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, if we could get some Australians over here to just look at the horses, but also meet the people and, see the surroundings, I think is a big key. So, yeah.
Build a relationship. It's only an hour and a half flight from Christchurch to here, and I don't think I've travelled. I have done a little bit of travelling, but I think if the furthest I would have gone would be about an hour and 10 from Invercargill itself. So it's not actually that far once you're here.
No, exactly. Yeah, and the other thing too is it's not just yearling sales. I mean, Southern trainers tend to be, such good sellers, and gosh, there's an awful lot of Southern horses racing around in Australia. So yeah, just come over and see where it all starts.
And if nothing else, eat the oysters and the crayfish and everything else, which hopefully I'm going to see tomorrow.
Yep, all of that. Yeah,
and the Southland sushi as well, which I don't overly recommend, but that's okay. That's fine. I'll get into trouble for everyone for that. Katrina, thank you, and I appreciate you doing those figures. And I think people need to be aware of it to potentially maintain these mares, keep them here in New Zealand. The Aussies keep them in Australia, but effectively we want to keep them here in the Australasian breeding pools, if you like, and be able to send those yearlings back. And there's an opportunity for people to make money. There's an opportunity for people to increase the stock, if you like, of the industry, which we need. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's an opportunity for people to have a lot of fun.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And as I said, on an individual basis, that fun and satisfaction. But I think as a whole wide sport, I mean, we're not going to get better, if we're selling off, our foundation mares. So we've got to hold on to them.
Very well said. Katrina, thank you. Thank you very much for the lunch, and appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you.